There it is. So Chelsea emphatically destroy Southampton. The game was pretty much done, and it's actually quite fair for Southampton that the scoreline is not even 9-0 because Chelsea just were running through them. I think João Felix missed some key chances, and even those who want to give the excuse of the red card, you can clearly see Chelsea were 3-1 up even when Newcastle had 11 men. So it was a dominant performance for Chelsea, but Chelsea looked shaky in the first 20 minutes. And Chelsea also established a milestone yesterday, becoming the team that raised the highest XG away since 2009. And that was quite remarkable, just showing how potent Chelsea are, especially their attack, which looks like it is the best in the league. So looking at the statistics, you can clearly see Southampton and Chelsea, and you can see the number of shots on target that Chelsea had. Chelsea had 13 shots on target, and it heavily relied upon the individual brilliance of Southampton to have some of those shots deflected out by their defenders, because Chelsea just destroyed Southampton in all phases of play. Before we even begin our analysis, I know a lot of you watch our videos but are yet to subscribe. If you're watching this video not yet subscribed, kindly subscribe to our channel for more videos. Now let's look at the tactics. So Chelsea lined up in a 4-2-3-1, Southampton lined up in a 5-3-2. And I'm going to explain to you how this worked out. So in the initial phases of play, Chelsea started to build from the back, and Southampton in the first 15 minutes of the game actually looked quite great, and they even had an opportunity to go 1-0 up. It was only Jorgensen who kept Chelsea in the game. Again, Jorgensen. And you can see how they tried to mitigate Chelsea by having that 3-man midfield to match Chelsea 3-man midfield, the 2 forwards to press the centre back and the goalkeeper, giving Chelsea only outlet in the wide areas through their fullbacks. But did they give Chelsea that outlet? So we saw Southampton actually shift by having their wing-backs being the one to spring out to cover Chelsea's fullbacks whenever the ball went there. But we saw Chelsea's fullbacks even sometimes having João Felix dropping deep so that he can receive the ball directly from Cucurella. But even him was pressed aggressively. That's why in the earlier phases of the game, he actually got fouled attempting to help Cucurella in this phase. And sometimes the Southampton's press was so great that they won the ball off Chelsea and immediately looked to transition. But whenever Chelsea broke this press, they had a numerical advantage up front and ready to play through Southampton. Now, let's look at how Chelsea played when they had settled possession. Now, when they had settled possession, Newcastle decided to sit in a 5-3-2. And this 5-3-2 was quite dynamic in that Southampton wanted to have 5 defenders so that they can mitigate that 5-man overload that is generated by Chelsea's box midfield. But Maresca had ways. So João Felix did not play as an out-and-out winger, but rather played as an inverted winger, a winger who's actually occupying the left half space. Nkunku occupied the centre-backs up front, and Cole Palmer played as the second striker, meaning that Cole Palmer and Nkunku played together occupying the 3 centre-backs. Fernandes also joined to generate that overload in the right-hand side, and Marc Cucurella, because now the defense became quite narrow because of the overload in the center, Marc Cucurella found space in the wide areas to actually look to push forward and generate Chelsea the width. And this was quite remarkable because I expected Cucurella to be more like a wide center back, and you can clearly see here. Look at this position, but this is the position when Southampton had gone 1 man down, but you can see the overload that Chelsea is creating with the 6 players ahead of the ball. You can just see the position of Kukurea, the position of Noni, as they were the only players who were generating that width for Chelsea. Now, it was also interesting how the other fullback was deployed, in that the wide attacking midfielders will start narrower and wider, while Malo Gusto, who was the right back, did not play as an extra centre back but rather moved in field, giving Maresca a new 2-2-3-3 structure. Another tactical change by Enzo Maresca. And this 2-2-3 structure gave Chelsea numerical overload, with either both Gusto or Caicedo dropping deep to receive the ball directly from the centre backs, and the centre backs looking to play the ball to the wide inside attackers. You can see here, Isasi has the ball, he's being pressed, he plays the ball to Tosin, but look at that box that has been formed. The box has been formed between the 2 centre backs and 1 fullback inverting alongside Moises Caicedo, and that's how Chelsea just managed to outplay Southampton. Here it is Cole Palmer who has dropped to that 10 position, and you can see the structure that Chelsea have. The 1 inverted fullback and an attacking midfielder who has dropped deep, and Caicedo playing as the pivot just ahead of the 2 centre backs. Now in this case, Chelsea were able to create overloads, because now Caicedo receives the ball, he is able to slip the ball onto Gusto, and it is clear, intricate passing between Gusto and Caicedo, because now Caicedo is able to play that ball to Gusto. But once Gusto beats the 4 Southampton players, Chelsea have an overload of 6 against 5 ahead of the ball. And that's how Chelsea managed to overload Southampton and have a lot of chances, creating problems for Southampton constantly. And this just created a lot of problems for Southampton, who are unable to actually get away from Chelsea. Looking at this box structure that Chelsea had, you can clearly see that the position of Caicedo receiving the ball in space, he was able to find players like Palmer and even Kunku, especially when Southampton's midfield lines were looking to push forward to try and suffocate him and try to limit the space for him. Now, when Southampton went 1 man down, they reverted into what we call a 4-4-1 structure. And this 4-4-1 structure even made Chelsea more solid and more attack-minded, because now Chelsea started to utilize the wide areas by having players like Noni Madueke, especially 1v1 with Southampton's wide fullbacks. And now Gusto will even shift out to try and help Madueke create that overload, because Chelsea understood that they had the numbers with them, and therefore they could be able to create a lot of problems for Southampton in this case. You can clearly see that Fernandes will be making that half space run and look to play those passes, and that's why how Chelsea managed to even get some corner kicks in this game. And finally, Chelsea even scored a corner kick. Tremendous. I'm going to try and analyze Chelsea's corners and understand why they are not so good in scoring corners. Now, Southampton were also a team that likes to play from the back. This is another Burnley. No matter how they are, no matter the errors they make, they still insisted on playing from the back. Having their centre backs split on either side of the goalkeeper, and we saw Chelsea having a half-hearted press. And Maresca talked about this in his post-match conference, speaking how Chelsea were not quite great in the man-to-man press. And we saw Kyle Walker-Peters especially beating Enzo Fernandez into the press and having Southampton attack Chelsea dangerously. This was initially in the first 15 minutes of the game. And this explains why Jackson is so important for Chelsea's press. You can clearly see here, Southampton in a 2-4-4 kind of build-up structure. The fullbacks are high and wide, and Kyle Walker-Peters has moved in field. He's playing as an extra midfielder, not as a centre back. And now you can see that Chelsea are looking to press. Look at Christopher Nkunku, look at Cole Palmer. So Chelsea are not even employing a stronger press in this kind of fashion, because now Palmer is picking the deeper pivot, but Fernandes is picking a forward who has dropped deep. And now the player who Fernandes is supposed to be picked has not been picked by Noni Madueke, because Noni Madueke is covering the wide fullback. So this player receives the ball, and now look at Fernandes. Fernandes is now pushing forward to try and press him. Fernandes loses this duel against Kyle Walker-Peters, and you can clearly see how he has lost this duel. So once Fernandes loses this duel, Kyle Walker-Peters is able now to bypass him. And now Noni Madueke leaves the fullback free and now is looking to try and cover Kyle Walker-Peters and stop him from advancing towards Chelsea's defense. As Noni Madueke is doing this, you can clearly see that Gusto has stepped out to try and also cover this player from progressing, but Walker-Peters is able to play the ball ahead for the winger, and now Noni Madueke is caught in a no man's land because he loses that duel, and now Southampton have enough players to actually transition. Now, once the ball is transitioned, Fernandes is the one who's supposed to cover that half space. He moves to try and cover Walker-Peters, who makes that run, fails to cover him, and now Chelsea are in a difficult situation. And now the cutback is made, Tosin is asleep in that position, and Southampton score. This was really, really poor, but thank God that Enzo Maresca changed how Chelsea were looking to defend, because that was really, really poor defending by Chelsea in this game. Alternatively, we saw with Southampton is that the way they look to try and drop their forwards deeper, because again Chelsea were looking to try and press in a zonal kind of approach, and we saw especially the left winger coming short, looking ready and trying to receive the ball directly from the center backs. And once he received this ball, you can see the number 7, he's putting Cucurella in an awkward position. João Felix is supposed to be the one to move inside and cover him, because he has picked up that position so that Cucurella can look to cover the fullback. Now João Felix is not moving with quite as much as intensity in this case. Now Palma is the one who shifts across. Again, you can clearly see the way João Felix is looking to press, and that's why you see sometimes some of these players are missing games in the Premier League. Not because they're bad players, it's because their off the ball movement is not quite great, but Maresca made some tactical changes. And you can clearly see here, Southampton managed to bypass Chelsea, and look at how Chelsea are now looking to be so staggered. But luckily for them, the ball was played and Noni Madueke managed to get back and win that ball. Otherwise, Newcastle would have had a clear counter opportunity against Chelsea. So Chelsea without the ball just seated in their usual 4-4-2, while Southampton moved into 2-4-4, having twin forwards, wide players in both sides, so that they are trying to create those overloads for Chelsea and having those triangles on either side. But whenever Chelsea won that ball, it was quick transitions. So let's look at the Premier League table, and Chelsea have moved on to second. Yes, they have moved on to second because of goal difference, and again, it's a good encouragement for the team. Do I believe Chelsea are in the title race? I will not speak about that until probably I see if Chelsea are in that position or thereabouts in the last week of January. That's when I can give my predictions. Chelsea, unlike Arsenal, are not there because of their alphabetical order, though I was informed that it is because Arsenal scored a goal away at Chelsea. That's why they were actually above Chelsea. But you can clearly see that Chelsea are now clear with a better goal difference. Now let's look at the run. When you look at this run, you can clearly see that now 3 teams are down. The next one is a red fixture, and that is away at Spurs. So Chelsea generally have a good record against Tottenham. Even the days Chelsea were just shit, Chelsea managed to get performances against Tottenham. So I believe that key players are going to return: Lavia, Jackson, Colwill, Benoit, and we're going to have a stronger team facing Tottenham. What do you think? Leave your comments in the comment section area below about this game. Leave any tactical thing that I have left out of this game. And it was a pleasure to see Chelsea fans finally giving Enzo Maresca the chant that he deserves.
Fernandez appreciate the fans, and the fans appreciate the players and Enzo Maresca. Fantastic.